Hello, I'm Carl Myers coming to you today to talk about education. More specifically, I'm here to talk about how we can solve the education issue we have in Nevada. I want to discuss why I believe that raising funding for our schools will be the solution. I'm sure all of us here value education a lot, as we're going here to UNR to learn and pursue a higher education. I personally have a connection to this topic because I want to be a teacher. And when I found out how poor the education system here was in Nevada, I was pretty concerned. And education in general is just a really big value of mine, something that I personally am looking for change. But with that being said, I'm sure most of you have heard how poor our schooling system here, which leads me into my first point. And the first point I want to address is really what the problem is, and I want to show you some data on really where we're at compared to everyone else. So I'm going to show you this website here. It says geographic disparity states. So basically, it's a website ranking the best um, states' education systems from 1 to 50. So you see here, number one, Massachusetts, and I'm going to go all the way down to the very bottom where we have, still going, where we have Nevada, ranked at number 50. And obviously, when there's 50 states, you don't really want to be ranked at number 50. That's pretty self-explanatory. But to get into the data, so the graduation rates, some websites have it at different numbers. The statistics really fluctuate from place to place depending on what source you're using. But this one specifically has Nevada 73% and second lowest, which of course we do not want. The spending rate per student is $8,000, which is very poor considering the national average is around 12 to 13,000. So I think just there, that's where my main focus is on, is the fact that our students are getting about $9,000 worth of spending per student, and the national average is around 12 to 13,000. Ideally, we'd be even higher than national average. So I think that is part of what's contributing to the problem. So as you see, some of the other problem is just math and reading proficiency for middle schoolers. How many people are leaving Nevada, students with bachelor's degrees? So now that we've discussed some of the issues that go along with our education system currently we have right now, I want to move on to what we're currently seeing being done right now, from our senators to our governors. Okay, as you can see here now, we're on Joe Lombardo's campaign page, and here he's discussing what his opinions on education, what he wants to do for education here. So I'm going to highlight here accountability to our education. That's one thing he's standing for, which can look like more teacher oversight, things like that. Another thing I want to highlight is expanding access to charter schools, which in some opinions can increase segregation, and does not help people with disabilities and language barriers. And of course, there are there's positives to charter schools also. But there's ultimately a lot of what he's saying requires more oversight or incentives for teachers to create pressure to have higher standards for teaching. Lombardo's plans look like regulation of programs such as No Child Left Behind. School safety, as I'll show you at the bottom here, is also very important. So it's good for obviously student safety. That's priority number one, but it also makes students feel more comfortable, which can increase class attendance, and with class attendance you have better learning outcomes. Many other people do support the idea of accountability, speculating that our problem could be solved better from student attendance, higher expectations for students, which all align with teachers being held accountable. This problem with teacher accountability is that teachers don't support more oversight, and it doesn't change the fact that schools are still underfunded. And there are better opportunities that can be made by giving the teachers better training, improve planning and organization, and ability to connect with students and learn better soft skills. The second political opinion I want to look at is Nevada's Senator Catherine Cortez Masto. One thing she's been focusing on is the suicide crisis, and I'll show you your highlight here. Programs focusing on students' emotional well-being, so that's important to her, and then also the access to internet, and she wants to make that more accessible. I think it's very important for the well-being and success for our students that we have counselors and after-school programs develop well-rounded students, and there will be a greater support system to succeed in the class in today's era. Internet access is vital towards a student's success, and proper funding would be beneficial to help that. I think it's very important to look at both of their ideas because they are providing real solutions and trying their best to solve this problem that we have. So now I'm going to introduce you to my solution. Okay, so my solution would be to raise funding in schools. The implications of how to allocate funds of education is a complicated subject. There are two ways of opening the budget for schools. That would, one, either be raise taxes, or two, to spend existing money in different ways. Part of this I want to bring up, I know the A's are moving to Las Vegas and they're asking for like $500 million of taxpayer money. As an Oakland A's fan, I don't want them to leave, and also I don't want to spend tax money on them. So that's a little bit of my own bias of ways we can differently. Like, I think it would be more important to spend that money on the education than to have a baseball team. Just a little bit biased. But also, I want to bring up the fact of our taxes, and of course, some people may not like this idea, and I don't want to make this too political, but we do currently not pay any individual income tax in the state of Nevada, and I think we either could go to a flat income rate or just slightly add taxes. I feel like that would go a long way in increasing the school budget and having positive impacts economically in the future by giving our students a better opportunity to learn. There are also other ways to get tax money, and that would be from property tax. That could be from, we have a lot of tax coming in from gambling and stuff like that, or hotel tax. Okay, next, I want to show you some articles I found to back up the fact that spending more money would actually have a positive impact, and it wouldn't just be the concept of diminishing returns on increased spending. So one of them, it's shown that test scores have been improved, graduation rates rose, students were more likely to pursue and complete college. On the economic side, students command higher wages as adults. Economic mobility expanded across generations in some districts. Housing prices rose. So that's just one quote I pulled from this article that I feel like proves the fact that this wouldn't just be a waste of our money. Now that I've shown you that this could benefit our schools, I want to run you through how we'd spend the money. So I think it would be impactful for us to start with the essential needs like pens, pencils, stuff like that, just basic classroom supplies. I don't think that would take up that much of the budget, but I think it's important that we get the bare minimum stuff down first, because I know some schools can struggle with having the right materials, and teachers will buy stuff for their students. And additionally, I think it would be important for us to fund art, music, and sports programs, just to overall help create well-rounded students. And I think they all have beneficial outcomes on children. And lastly, I think it'd be used for technology to advance learning opportunities and closing inequality gaps. I think with those benefits in mind, do you think that you'd want to spend your tax money or facilitate funding towards education?